Chapter 2. Love is greater than fear. May I have the courage today to live the life that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more. John O'Donohue. At one of the lowest points in my life, I went to a retreat high in the California mountains. 2 days later, I was a man committed to change. I was already a successful entrepreneur. I had built a flourishing business dedicated to giving meaning to the lives of people with Alzheimer's and other memory-impairing diseases. However, I was living with a sense of failure. Despite my professional success, my marriage was ending, and I had an uneasiness and dissatisfaction about decisions I was making. My longtime friend and executive coach, Vance Caesar, was about to change that. Every year, Vance invited me to take part in a weekend men's retreat in the San Jacinto Mountains. After years of politely declining, I surprised myself by accepting the offer. That Saturday, a dozen other business leaders and I arrived at a lodge perched between two expanses of towering rock. The setting seemed to be nature's way of encouraging introspection. When Vance beckoned us into a circle in the living room and began talking about happiness, I was ready to listen to Vance explain that throughout the centuries, great philosophers and religious leaders have concluded there are two core emotions from which all other feelings spring: love and fear. He elaborated, those who achieve the most happiness have based their decisions and actions on love, not fear. They have acted in the best interest of the people around them rather than in fear, anger, and defensiveness, negative emotions which arise when we feel threatened or unsure of ourselves. Looking intently at each man, he added, most of us grew up with fear. It wasn't the A on the report card that got our parents' attention. It was the C. In a sense, it was their fear speaking. If you failed, it meant they had failed. As adults, Vance continued, we perpetuate our childhood experiences. Looking around the room, I see overachievers who have allowed fear to shape countless decisions leading to current circumstances. Vance let that sink in and then approached an issue that is difficult for men. Might you accomplish more by accepting love as your navigator? If you will choose to live your life based on love, you will find people are drawn to you. You will develop better relationships. You will be happier in your personal life. This is the challenge. Stop living a life shaped by fear. Dare to change and let love be your guide. The words hit me like a lightning bolt. From the earliest days of my childhood, my will to succeed by doing the right thing had characterized my life. No one could argue with its effectiveness. It had brought me undeniable success. But at that moment at the lodge, I realized there is only one way to truly know what the right thing is: by making choices and acting on the greatest positive emotion, love. As I reflected on Vance's words, I knew it was too late to cope with my failed marriage, and I didn't know if I could treat every single future decision with love. But I wanted to try it. A phrase flashed in my mind which would become my pole star: love is greater than fear. On the drive down the mountain, I resolved to tell Silverado's executive team about the concept. But when the company vice presidents gathered at the monthly meeting in the corporate conference room, I retreated twice to my desk before summoning the courage to leave my office. They're going to think I'm nuts. Guys don't talk about love. Then, bracing myself, I countered, Loren, you're a chicken, a gutless wonder reacting from fear. You need to come from love, so you're going to bring it up. And I did. Surprised silence and impassive expressions greeted my talk about love being greater than fear. A few faces turned ashen, and others smiled cautiously when I finished by proposing that Silverado adopt the concept as its core operating principle. With my prodding, discussion ensued, and eventually, the executives reached a consensus. The idea was good, but it would be better if love weren't involved. Perhaps like or strongly like might take its place. But this is exactly the point. We're all afraid of the word love. Think about it. We want the staff to do the right thing with our residents, but it's just a hollow phrase if you don't have the criteria for determining it. As the company expands, it will be hard for newer employees to understand and carry out our vision. But if we tell our employees to serve residents from the standpoint of love, they will naturally fulfill our expectations. Steve was intrigued by the concept and the teachings behind it. After the meeting, he went to the library to find out more and came home with an armload of books. He quickly saw how beneficial it would be for the company. I set about introducing Love is Greater Than Fear throughout Silverado. I brought the same fire to this endeavor that I had brought to building the company from scratch. I dedicated time to group training and one-on-one conversations with staff. At first, some in management resisted the philosophy, fearing to give up control with the new approach. They would ask, why risk it when everything is going so well? On the other hand, the caregivers, housekeepers, culinary staff, maintenance people, and others who work most directly with residents responded without hesitation. Of course, we will act through love. That's why we're here. Employees began saying that love is greater than fear was changing their lives at home as well as in the workplace. It was helping them to communicate with spouses, children, and to mend relationships damaged by anger and regret. I knew this principle had the power to improve life for everyone, regardless of financial status or personal circumstances. Years later, I remain awed by its powerful reach. I am convinced that love is greater than fear can yield remarkable transformations on a wide scale. As evidence of this, professional associations and boards of directors at other companies frequently invite me to speak. As I discuss Silverado and its vision of creating a better life for the memory impaired, I assert, it's impossible to understand Silverado without knowing its guiding principle. When someone responds, I would love to do this at my business, but I wouldn't dare, it fills me with regret, because I know they are motivated by fear. People who have known me for a long time can see that love is greater than fear has wrought a major change in me. My moral compass has never been in doubt, but I began to measure my words more carefully and many times to soften my tone. I was quicker to trust and forgive. Even my body seemed looser, in greater sync with my emotional and physical surroundings. Think of it as a scale, with fear at 0 and love at 100. If you can make love-based choices 85 to 90% of the time, then for you, love is greater than fear. This is what we believe. It's what I've committed my life to.